we are going to talk with our special guest, Grim Jim from Postmortem Studios, postmort.com, which we'll show off here in just a moment. And he's going to talk to us about crowdfunding Wightchester, Prison City of the Damned. I love that Thorn character in there. I haven't seen that in forever. So you can back the project at the link that's on the screen. And if somebody wants to type that in the chat, that would be freaking amazing. And so let's get our segment 1 banner up here and say hello to Grim. So right off the bat, I'm going to start popping off your links here. So let me share my screen, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself while I'm doing that.
I'm a carbon-based life form from the Milky Way galaxy.
Prove it.
Ugly bag of mostly water.
Yes.
There you go.
I produce motile gametes.
This is what I say. I need the thesaurus. I don't know what any of that means.
I'm an omnivorous ape-descended life form. Okay, enough mockery.
I love it.
I'm a 20-plus year veteran of the RPG industry. I've worked for Steve Jackson Games, Wizards of the Coast, Cubicle 7, Mongoose Publishing, and various others. But I've been working for myself primarily since about 2005. I like stuff that is challenging and interesting. So some people
isn't that what makes a lot of things interesting? Is just a challenge?
Yeah, some people call that edgy. I don't know about that exactly, but yeah.
I mean, if you look at the modern gaming right now, a lot of it to me is so boring because it's not challenging.
Well, yeah. I used to want to be the Alan Moore of RPGs. Then I wanted to be the Warren Ellis of RPGs. And I think I finally settled on being the Harlan Ellison of RPGs. So it's just an
somebody quickly look that up.
angry man. So Postmortem Studios is my imprint. I publish my own stuff. I publish stuff for other people. I do consulting and help for people who want to publish their own stuff. And almost my entire back catalog is on there.
You also have books and videos about the subject as well.
Yes. Right? I have a pay-for video series.
Oh.
RPG design from start to finish. That's only on drive-through because Shopify cannot handle the sheer power of my videos.
Roar!
Grim smash.
Yes.
There you go.
But that's gotten pretty good reviews. You can find similar stuff to that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/postmortemvideo. I'm on social media like everybody, usually arguing with fuckwits. Facebook's a bit more chill. I've got a pretty chill Discord. You can get to that from my YouTube channel and various other places. And you can get most of my stuff print on demand from lulu.com.
Awesome. I got you were on Drive Through RPG yesterday with your Grimdark for was it Deal of the Day? And,
Deal of the Day.
I got it, and then you made that post saying, "Oh, anybody who backs Wightchester is already getting a copy." And said, "Oh, well, there you go. Enjoy the extra $5."
But now I have your money, so it's
yes, you're welcome to it. And you know what? You should be welcome to your money as well. Open up that wallet, just throw it at them. They'll take it.
Yeah.
If not, I'll take it because I'll be picking up the crumbs behind him.
Whatever he doesn't put in his pocket goes into mine. So there you are.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So we put the links in the chat there. So thank you for the 200 bits shares. So shout outs and all that. So that Streamlabs stuff or Streamlabs stuff isn't integrated with StreamYard. So if you're used to that being on Twitch and whatnot for the video game stuff, it's not here. But I do see that Crafty also donated some money. So thank you very much. We are now 1/20th of the way from wearing cheerleader outfits.
Please don't give them any money.
Please don't get there, right? I mean, wait, don't say that.
See, looking at me right now, you would not suspect how much of a hairy body I have. And the places that a cheerleader outfit accentuates just happens to be that area. So you know what?
I haven't been to the pool since the coof started right at the end of 2019. So really, I haven't exercised. It's not a muffin top anymore. It's like somebody took a ladle of gravy and it's just dripping all over the place. Visualize that. Yeah. Oh, God.
You put that in my head, and now it's like a worm.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm going to get the other screen up here ready to go. So in the meantime, have you pitched everything you want to pitch for that?
I think so.
The online stuff? All
I'm
right.
English. I'm terrible about it. Yeah.
No problem. Well, whatever you don't get now, I'll get into a comment or a description later. But seriously, do follow Grim. Check out his YouTube channel and so forth. Like I said, the links will be in the description when this is a video later. And of course, they're in chat right now. So next is I'm going to ask Grim for an elevator pitch for Wightchester while I get his YouTube video ready.
Okay. It's a city crawl rather than a hex crawl or a dungeon. If you are a player, you're going to get to experience survival horror and mystery and investigation. If you're a GM, you don't really need to prep at all because the premise is survival and it's an insanely detailed whole walled-in city, which will have everything you need to run it smoothly from session to session to session. So high complexity, but low prep, which is a difficult thing to pull off. And the premise just works immediately for any random group of adventurers you want to throw into it.
Well,
so if you like historically grounded survival horror, then I think it's a game book for you.
Well, if there's anybody I would trust with the horror genre, and I'm not pandering here, I've said this off camera, but it would be Grim because his horror, my horror isn't exactly the same, but it's he's closer to what I see as horror than most of this cartoonish nonsense that's out there today.
Yeah.
All right, ready to play?
Here's an elevator pitch.
Okay.
Ravenloft, but focused and good.
I want to take that because I kind of like Ravenloft.
Floor elevator movement at that point. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's listen to the video. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I have everything that's supposed to be up with regard to this up. And here we go.
No sound.
Can you hear it?
No sound at all.
No sound.
All right, chat can tell me. Can you guys hear it? Audio should be playing. I'll start it again. How does this always get screwed up? They said no. Googly moogly. Sound should be coming through. That's not muted. It should be coming through the music channel.
Pro streamer, thank you, Sherry.
I know, right? Should be coming through the music channel. What if I try that? All right, that should have just played through even without being shared. Well, guess what? No. We'll try one more time. If not, I will put it into my normal browser. I try to keep the browser separate so I can control the audio a little better, but apparently I can't control the audio at all. All right, one more time.
That's what you get for trying to grow and improve. Nope.
Yeah.
Niet, tovarищ.
All right, I'm guessing I can't even hear anybody talk now. So I'm guessing there's still no audio. All right. I have one more option. I had this set up and it was working. I hope this isn't my computer acting stupid again. Just me acting stupid. If not, can you do a full reenactment of it?
No, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, that might work better, yeah. Do it with the YouTube video link, though, if you can. Go straight into YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Hang on.
It's on. I was showing little meters.
Yes, you were.
Max is a little worse. I know. I am. But what we do is we bring Grim on here to embarrass him.
Works every time.
Works every time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
You just turned really jaundiced, by the way.
I know. It's because I put the thing up there.
It's because one of his kidneys just exploded.
There we go. All right, you ready?
I suppose. Might want to turn your YouTube volume on.
Nothing.
I guess StreamYard hates us today. Well, how about this? I don't want to waste too much more. Sorry about that, Grim. We were trying to do something special, and we ruined it all. It's the worst.
Drop the link in the chat, and people can go and have a quick look.
Yeah. I like the
couldn't
video.
hear you at the end of that.
Still can't hear Heathen Dog. We don't want to hear him anyway. Let me get that link. Try something real quick.
I failed. Yep, there it is.
Is that it?
Goddamn British YouTube videos.
Oh, just out of curiosity, did you select to turn on the audio? I forget that a lot, like right there. I'm gonna get this dang thing to work. I'm mad now.
In the year of our Lord, 1666, came the Annus Mirabilis, year of miracles. The plague returned. London endured the Great Fire. England went to war with the Dutch. Newton upended and advanced natural philosophy. Amongst those miracles came the comet that raised the dead. England, still recovering from the Civil War and in the throes of the Restoration, was the hardest hit. Still, over the course of a year, the grizzled veterans of decades of war were able to put the dead back into the ground. Save Wightchester, the city which was lost, overrun, walled in, and made into a prison for damned souls. Resurrected as Wightchester. It is 1667, and you are condemned. May God have mercy on your soul. Back Wightchester on Indiegogo for more information, cheap and free products, and a chance to shape the city of Wightchester. Wightchester will be a 500-page city crawl for 5th edition D&D, Grimdark 5th edition, and hopefully Morkborg and the OSR. Spread the word.
500
hang on.
pages.
For me, there's a lot to unpack there. All right. I'm going to start with what mostly. Let me get rid of this because I'm jaundiced again. There we go. Mostly what I want to know.
Selfish.
What is the grim dark version of 5e?
Oh, you don't know that? You don't know that?
No. I want them to know it.
Okay.
So, I'm not entirely against 5e. As my friend's dad used to say, I don't entirely hate you, Grim. So, that was affection from him. He was northern.
That's good. That's good.
Because I play it every week with the girls on the tabletop list. But all that old school promise that was there when 5e first came out has been kind of lost. And it's only really suited to Forgotten Realms, whiz-bang superhero type play, really. So I stripped it back, made it a lot more deadly, a lot more difficult, made the magic a lot less obvious and more about preparation and making deals with dark powers and that sort of thing. So it's a version of 5e that you can actually use and maybe convince some people to play because it's 5e that creates more of an old school feel, more of a difficult feel, something a bit more like Darkest Dungeon or Bloodborne.
Oh, you're going to trigger Heathen Dog with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wait, hang on. So what I'm taking away from that is that your version of 5e, instead of a very gentle slope from level 1 to godhood, it's more like some thick stairs.
Yeah, it's more like and you're in a wheelchair. It's
Great. Okay, that went bad real quick.
it's a bloody slog, and when you do go up levels, your power isn't going to increase as much. You're still going to be fairly fragile. So the idea is to encourage people to think more about their resources, whether it's worth using X, Y, or Z. Can we survive another fight? How can we turn this tactically to our advantage? How can we think creatively to deal with issues, which is much more the kind of old school play that I did enjoy. But then I didn't really grow up with D&D. I grew up more with Warhammer and MERP and Dragon Warriors, which have a different feel even to old school D&D.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Okay. Well, we've opened that little beautiful blossom. Now let's move on to the next one. Now, you are condemned, which means the English are using this city as a punishment zone of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
that's I want to say bad. What's worse than that? that's like immorally wrong. That's like against God and man and all kinds of things. Like, how did that come about?
Okay, so there's a period of British history. It's actually a bit later than this period, but things were almost as bad back then, when we were ruled over by what was called the Bloody Code.
Okay.
And basically people were being executed or transported overseas for even the most minor infractions. Right? So you poach a rabbit, off you go to Tyburn, dance the Tyburn jig, dead, or get sent to the colonies. Now, I got in trouble the other day because I said Australia, which didn't happen until much later.
Wait a minute. Stop. Hang on. You said that there's death or get sent to the colonies. Now, how many people are like, oh, God, kill me? Oh, God, no. That's like Beirut in 75. No, kill me. Just get it over quick.
Probably quite a lot. Especially since you were essentially a slave if you were sent to the colonies, because you were an indentured servant. So, yeah, it wasn't nice. So basically, if you did even the slightest thing wrong in England for a period of about 200 years, odds are you were going to get hung by the neck until dead, or sent to America, or later on sent to Australia. But most people know that Australia used to be a prison colony, and they don't know that America used to be a prison colony. So there you go. But then, the zombies rise. Eventually, most of them get put back into the ground, but this city's lost. But you've got to guard it, right? And you've got to maintain the walls so the dead don't get out again. You've got to do something with it. I mean, it's a huge drain on resources, and it's a threat there. So we've got all these people.
I get it.
Yeah, we've got all these people who have stolen handkerchiefs and eaten a rabbit they shouldn't. So what do we do with them? Or evidence of malice in a child? That's one of my favorite ones. So they used to hang.
What even is that?
The child is clearly evil, my lad. Quite right. Hang him.
All right, fair enough.
So. Well, it's quite expensive to transport people. They take up room in holds that could be used for cargo and
food.
So why not just march them into a zombie-filled hellhole?
Yeah, I mean, we got it right here.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they'll eventually manage to kill off all the dead, and we can resettle it. But
I hope you have this story copywritten, because this is going to be the next Elder Scrolls game, right?
But yeah, so you're condemned. You may or may not be guilty. That's kind of up to you.
Guilty of something. It's just probably stupid.
Yeah, everyone's guilty of something.
Yeah.
Whistling on a Tuesday, perhaps.
There you go. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, well, that's more of a cutting off a hands thing, but whatever. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So then you get marched in the front doors. They shut behind you, and you got to survive.
All right. Unpack that one. Now, when I watched that the first time, what I imagined was this is role playing in between the two first Resident Evil movies when Raccoon City was being taken over by the they walled off Raccoon City and everyone inside was dying, and then they kept dropping people in to get people out. Like, but now the people are being dropped in are not criminals, but now they are. So it's kind of surviving in that type of environment only in the past. That's what I picture.
Yeah. To definitely to an extent. I mean, some mad people will be volunteering to go in there. Well,
what through? Yeah, what could entice them to do that? The proverbial treasure?
No, hang on.
There's going to be a hoard of treasure in there somewhere.
There's got to be something, number one. And number two, if you don't understand the abject poverty of the time that most people were under, dying, especially if it takes burden off of your family, is the moral and justifiable thing to do. And dying in this way would, if you volunteer to go in there, you may even bring your family some kind of semblance of honor.
That sounds too Japanesey for me.
Well, there's other reasons as well. I mean, like you said, wealth. So this is set after the English Civil War, quite a couple of decades after. But a lot of the people who sided with Parliament were suddenly out of favor when the king was reinstated. So they lost a lot of their lands and wealth. This happened to my family historically. We went from being in charge of about 1/5 of the country to pretty much nothing. So
don't we all have that story? I can blame the French though, but whatever.
I can blame the royalists, damn them. Fucking monarchy.
Fucking bastards.
A way to get some power back might be to go in there and loot as much gold and whatever as you can carry, and then maybe bribe a guard to escape, though that probably won't happen.
For that to be true, Wightchester, now Wightchester, would have to have had some kind of treasure that was locked in. So it has something like that. You've written something like that into it, like it's in there somewhere.
Yeah,
at least the promise of it.
Yeah, there's a cathedral in the city, and cathedrals always had lots of gold and silver, and
the church is always gilded.
Yeah. There was a fairly active merchant area because it used to be an important city for the wool trade and so on. So it's kind of a financial center. Okay. So there's a bank with vaults, and a fair few fairly rich people lived there. So potentially there's a lot of that. Also, during the English Civil War and after was a really radical political time. So there's a lot of political prisoners that might get thrown in there, and also political people who might volunteer to go in there to escape the yoke of the government and the king. So that's another possibility. And it was also a time of enormous religious upheaval. So you can have a lot of religious fanatics who want to go in there to cleanse the dead, or to minister to the poor lost souls that are stuck within. All of that sort of thing. So there's a lot of reasons, but the main one is definitely you were a bad boy and we condemn you.
Please air quote that, bad boy. Ouch.
Bad boy.
All right. Okay, what else did I have? Let's see. Watching that video, this is not neither here nor there, but for some reason it reminded me of the book Shogun. I don't know why. I don't know if you've read it. It's like an
I have, and I have read it ages ago, and I remember the old series as well, which was okay.
I remember this series. I skimmed through the book. I was too young to read it. When I tried to read it, I was too young.
It's neither here nor there. It just happened in my head. There's no reason for it. That was a random thought. That was nothing. But
kind of fish out of water thing. I can see.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But all of these undead, are they specialized, or are they generic zombie type? I mean, what are you looking at? Are you looking at some kind of surprise hierarchy in there? Is that possible, or is it all just going to be your zombies?
Well, I don't want to give away
zombies. Are they going to be eyeball eating zombies? Are there going to be zombies that only eat testicles? I don't know.
This got weird quickly.
Well, African witches steal people's penises, so I can see the logic. I don't want to give away too much. Most of it's going to be zombies. at that point in history, we just had another round of the plague. So, there's plenty of dead meat around to rise up, and plague pits and so on. I think about a third of London died the previous year. So that gives you some idea. It was worse in London than elsewhere. But zombies, there's the generic ones. There's also ones that may have been shaped by their environment. So if you run into a zombie that's been soaking in water for a year, it's going to be a big bloated
mess,
skin sloughing off, gases bubbling away. Yeah.
Don't poke it. You don't want those juices on you, man. It's going to pop like a balloon. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Okay, good.
Or if it's someone who locked themselves in a salt cellar or something where they would keep the salt to keep it dry, then maybe it's a desiccated husk.
Yeah.
And maybe someone has been experimenting on the zombies, and
that brings us to the mad folk that are still there. Now, some of the people, I imagine some of them have to be smart. There's a certain percentage of people who were locked into Wightchester that became Wightchester who are still there. Because how long was the city walled off from the moment the game starts to when it happened? How long?
So it's been closed off for about a year from the time the
about a year.
Rose.
So there's plenty of residents there who lived there, who were trapped in there and have survived there, and they're probably super pissed off. Want someone to blame, can't blame the zombies, and blame anyone who comes across.
You can always blame the zombies. It's not like they're going to complain.
Yeah. So they probably have gone a little nutters, and I can imagine a lot of things like Michonne in Walking Dead, taming some of them and using them as security or camouflage or whatever, stuff like that. I could see a lot of stuff, a lot of possibility on how to use these zombies to the insane NPC's advantage.
Yeah, there will be
almost on 28 days, says Shares. Okay.
So there will be some factions of living people in the city who found ways to survive or places to hide. The occasional lone nutter, some of the other prisoners who've been shoved in here before. Most of them will be in what you could call like a starting area, where they've just fortified the area around the gate and they just stay there and go, fuck that, I'm not going anywhere.
This isn't going to be like The Walking Dead, where literally every person or village you meet wants to kill you. Like there's no good person left in the entire.
Very few good people. The other thing about some of the zombies is they'll be differentiated by what they did in life. So a priest who rises as one of the damned is going to be different to a peasant or a soldier and have slightly different capabilities.
Okay, all right.
Because something remains.
A little bit remains of who was there before. Okay, last question for me. Now, surviving a year in a walled-off city nowadays is not that hard. Canned goods, you have plentiful food, especially if the population was killed off very quickly. You have a lot of food, especially for a year. You still have gas stations. You still have all that stuff. Gas is still good. This is all fine and good. But in the time period we're talking about, a year without fresh food or water is death.
Yeah.
How is anyone who was walled off in there still alive?
So we did have various ways of preserving food back then. Like I said, I've gone into
stuff like that, but I've gone into so far nutrition wise.
Yeah, I've gone into an insane amount of detail. On that.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So one thing we had was the rich people had ice houses, sort of dugouts in the ground. And during the winter, they would gather the snow and the ice and they would compact it in there. And then during the rest of the year, they could actually keep fairly fresh food frozen. There's pickling, which does preserve quite a lot of the nutrients. Our Navy used to carry, why we're called limeys, right?
Because of the lime juice?
Because the pickled limes. As it turns out, limes weren't actually especially good for preserving vitamin C.
Much better than lemons for scurvy. Yeah.
Yeah. You got pickled fruit, pickled vegetables. Then a lot of people supplemented the food that they bought by having kitchen gardens or small plots of land.
Right. I forgot about the British proclivity for having their own personal garden. Now,
Yeah.
nowadays, it's just a small green area that they keep. That's not generally for growing food, but for looks and your little peace of mind or whatever. But
To be
back in
fair,
the day, it was a food supplement. That's right. I forgot about
not just
that.
the British. My wife is trying to insist that I do that here, so blame the Japanese too.
Okay, well,
Everybody
again,
that's not
Shogun,
American.
damn you.
And there's pigeons and rats and
Yeah.
rabbits in the park, and nice, fresh, delicious prisoners fresh through the gate.
Okay, see, I didn't think there would be any animals, but you're using the common zombie trope where zombies only go after people and not animals.
It will depend, but most of the zombies are pretty slow, so they can't catch a remotely aware animal.
Okay,
yeah, and rabbits have burrows to hide in.
Sure,
so,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, that's it for me. What do you guys, Shlo?
All right. So
I was just to say, it's hard to get enough food, but it is possible.
It is possible, right?
And plus, you can take treasure from inside the city, slip it to some guards, get them to give you some bread or something.
Oh, okay. So the whole prison system here is still rife with corruption, just like in real life. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, got to have a bit of reality in there. I like that. So this was kind of already addressed, but I'm just going to touch as my number one. So I want to ask this a little differently, though. What makes these zombies or this city, I guess, different than kind of what's out there? Like you mentioned the Ravenloft comment, earlier. I heard you talk about, what was it Aaron was talking about in his stream yesterday, Left 4 Dead? Things that we've seen before, The Walking Dead, so on and so forth. What makes these zombies? Because I'll be honest with you, I hate zombie trope. I've hated it since like 2010. Can't stand the zombie trope. It's been beat to death. I love undead. Just can't stand the zombie trope anymore. So what is it about this that's going to make somebody like me say, you know what, these zombies are awesome? Or this city, it doesn't just have to be the creature itself, but this environment is going to be awesome.
Well, the city is its own character, and every building has a story. So you get to see the effect the zombies had, and you get to see what remains behind after the rising and what happened to people. So you might break into a house that someone had fortified, right? And you might find bloodstains and small skeletonized bodies with their skulls staved in. And then at the very top of the house, you might find a zombie hanging from a rope with I couldn't live with myself written as a note or something. So you can piece together kind of what happened there by the clues that are in the environment. And I've done that for every building. Every building has a story. Every building has clues. Every building has a
I want you to say that again. Together. Every building.
Every building.
Wow. Now I know why it's 500 pages. That sounds awesome, but it also sounds very daunting. How are you doing that?
Bit by bit.
Okay. I mean, what? Obviously, there are going to be similarities. That's just the real world. But how does this building, after like about 30 or 40 of those, how does this building differ from this building over here? Because you're talking about a city of what, tens of thousands of people, or at least at one time, tens of thousands of people. So,
yeah, and a lot of buildings are the same, physically. It's
sure,
just the way people build.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I chop and change, and I move around between different types of building to keep it fresh in my mind. And any idea that I have, I jot it down, and then I go back when I feel up to doing yet another serf's cottage or whatever, because a lot of buildings were basically 2 stories and an attic.
Mm-hmm.
They would have a parlor, which is kind of like a living room, dining room, reception, all in one. They would have the kitchen on the other side of that. They would have stairs or a ladder up to the 2nd floor, which would be 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom and a storage room or spare room or something. And then again, they would have a ladder up to the loft area, which was often used as well. They used every bit of square footage they could. But they do tend to all follow the same layout. So it is difficult, but I think I'm managing.
Okay. I mean, it sounds interesting to me. I like to think I have an imagination, but I think if I had to do even like 100 different houses, and I'm not talking different layouts, I'm just talking like, okay, I want this house to be different, even if it looks the same than that one over there. And in fact, I need it to be more different because the layout's the same. After about, I don't know, 10 or 15 of those things, my imagination would be drained.
Well, okay, so it's not necessarily in the book for you, but I know how many people lived there, what they did for a living, how wealthy they were. So all of that informs me on what I need to put in there.
Okay.
And how they might have gone about surviving, what their reaction might have been, where they might have gone for help. Yeah, all of those. I know it. It's not necessarily in the book directly, but if you break into a blacksmith's apprentice, if he's got a boarding house, and you break into his room, maybe you'll find some of his tools or something. And there'll be different clothes in the cupboard, all of that kind of stuff. So it might not be explicit, but it's all there, and that helps me figure out how every single building is different. Every single room is different.
Gotcha. So for wannabe game designers out there, look how deep you got to go in order to make something interesting that's that thick. I mean, I'm looking forward to a 500-page book. I like my bigger fat books that are back there. Let's see. So one thing we haven't touched upon yet, but I heard you talking about it yesterday. So I'm going to ask you, obviously don't spill what you don't want to spill. So how does the idea of gifts and corruption work on the characters in this game?
So like I said, magic is kind of in the background. If you are a ritual magician or a witch, we talk about the cunning folk. That's cunning comes from kenning, comes from knowledge, and was a term generally for anyone who knew a little bit of herbalism or magic or whatever. But in this world, if you are a ritual magician or a witch, in inverted commas, that's probably why you've been thrown in the city, because we can't be having with any of that nonsense. But you might make pacts with powers, particularly if you're a ritual magician. You might make a pact with a demon in order to get a gift. So instead of getting a spell, you might make a deal with Belial or someone to teach you the language of the birds, and then you'll be able to speak to and command birds. Or you might grant you a talisman that will protect you from a certain kind of harm. So that's how you build up your magical characters, but you're constantly at threat of being corrupted by that.
You're making deals with demons. You're stupid.
Yeah, right.
Even becoming sort of demonic yourself, or manifesting a third nipple, or some kind of telltale sign that you are no longer.
A third nipple. You had to go back to the well, didn't you? Jeez.
In God's good graces.
Now we know why he was actually hanging from the chandelier. Okay, I mean, I like the concept of that. I thought that Ravenloft pulled that out cartoonishly, but I thought that other games, and what's funny is I always remember this stuff when I'm walking around the house, but I can't remember it right now. I played a couple of games that had corruption in it, and corruption was not only meaningful in mechanics, but it made you look like, you started getting not lizard skin, but you started getting these effects, your eyes just didn't look right. It was always a peripheral effect that creeped everybody out, but you couldn't put your finger on it. God, I wish I could remember what the name of that game was. I remembered it yesterday too, but
it's an old trope, sir, but it checks out.
Well, usually it's overdone nowadays. Like, it's too blatant. Like, oh, look at him, he's got claws. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you look at something like Conan, for example, all the magicians in that are all wizened and hunched and ridden with all manner of diseases and other things because they've expended their life force on the magic. There was a game
DCC, I think. Sorry, go on.
So there's a game called Riddle of Steel, obviously taking from Conan, though the game itself wasn't very Conan-esque. But the magicians in that, you had to sacrifice years of your life to cast spells, which was an interesting way of controlling but allowing you to make big sacrifices to do big effects if you wanted to.
Yeah, I tried to. I actually ran a playtest with Heathen Dog a bunch of years ago with Riddle of Steel because I own it, and I know it's supposed to be realistic, but we didn't really like the combat in it. It was Crafty. We'll get to your question in a little bit. We will ask it. Let's see. So
did I answer your question about what makes the zombies interesting?
Sure. Well, what makes the zombies interesting? Also, gifts and corruption. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect you to spill everything. I mean, you're still making it, and two, hey, there's got to be surprise for people who get it.
Yeah, I will say it's not all zombies. Not all zombies are the same, and there are aspects of the game and what raised the dead that are more mythosy.
Well, look, it's called Wightchester. There better be whites in there. So I got a couple more. I think they'll blend together, though. Generally speaking, it's about the exploration survival side. So one of the things that I've been falling in love with recently are games like Year Zero Engine, Westmart, or whatever the hell it's called, D&D, things like that have simplified but a specific rule system in place for the survival mechanic. So it isn't just like, go to the store and buy stuff. No. You have to make sure that you allot some time, some money, some effort into surviving. Now, this is going to be even more so because the supplies are going to be incredibly scarce. So can you talk about any of the sort of mechanics that you have in play for this that at least on an interest level, to have me going, D&D 5e might actually be something I try to pick up now, if not for this alone?
Yeah, I haven't quite nailed down the full survival rules yet, but see, it's tricky because you don't want to get bogged down too much in, okay, did you clean your wounds after that combat? How much food have you got left? Oh, what's the calorie count? Yeah, you don't want to go into that much detail, but you just want to know, did you have enough food? Did you have enough water? Did you have enough sleep? Those sorts of things. That's more important than getting bogged down in details. So a mechanic I have used in other games, just sort of imported and put on top. So when we talk about supplies, we talk about person days of food and water. So we've got enough supplies to support 3 people for 10 days, and then you can easily divide that out over different numbers. If you have someone else join your group or someone dies, oh great, we get more rations.
Joe's wound's infected, isn't it? Oh yeah, no, it's not.
I'm getting better. So yeah, I haven't quite pinned it down, but I think it'll be something simple like that, and probably something like gaining levels of exhaustion each day you go without food or water or sleep, something like that.
Any sort of psychosis or fear mechanic where you just eventually possibly lose your shit? And whether it's a Palladium style or a Cthulhu style or just anything like that built into it?
Yeah, Grimdark has ways of handling that. But increasingly, I have been really dissatisfied with Fear and Madness rules because they feel so kind of arbitrary, especially in older games. Yeah, you lose your mind. Let's roll on a random table. Okay, you just saw Great Cthulhu rise from the deep, and now you're a transsexual. But it doesn't make any sense, right? Why would I become a transsexual from seeing Cthulhu? To be fair, a lot of the more modern games have been a bit less politically incorrect about the ways you can go mad, but it's just not satisfying. So what I tend to do now is, okay, we have a system that tells you when you're terrified or mad, but you get to decide ahead of time in which ways your character's psyche might fracture and how you react to sheer terror.
For people who are uncomfortable with that, do you provide good system in there, like good ideas, like, hey, consider these concepts or these ideas when your character starts to go down that path?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. This isn't just the player saying, "Oh, I would go crazy this way." It's the player and the game master deciding together.
Yeah. So
okay, good. Because I don't give players agency. Screw them.
So say you've got a character who I don't know has always had their head in books. They're a wizard or a scholar or something. You encounter something utterly terrifying. Maybe you're just gonna intellectualize it. Maybe you're just going to become suddenly very Vulcan and rational and logical about the whole thing, which is still a form of it's a coping mechanism. It's still a form of insanity. You might not be empathetic towards the other people in your party. You might not help them. You're focused on trying to figure out what the hell is going on and
I feel like he's describing me right now.
Possible. And
Okay.
you might think it's clever to say, oh well, if I get terrified, I go berserk and I attack the source of my fear. It's not always going to be a good idea, you know.
Yeah. Like someone would go Vulcan, and on the other end, someone would keep trying to martyr themselves because they feel it's the only way to atone for whatever transgression put them here. You know, so they'd be constantly trying to throw their life away for no good reason. Which is another form of insanity.
But the player decides. The player does still have a degree of agency. They're not completely robbed of it in a way that they typically are, because it is dissatisfying when you completely lose control of your character. So here, what I want to happen is, okay, you've decided the way in which you go mad. You've decided the way in which you manifest fear. We've agreed on that. So now I can trust you to do that, and I don't have to take away control of your character. You can continue to play it, but in this new mode.
I think as long as that there are good examples in there, and it seems just reading your past work, that's something you would do naturally anyway. As long as there's some good examples in there, I like the sound of that mechanic because, you know, as one person, I can only think of so much, and pretty soon things become redundant and stale. All of a sudden, you come out with something completely out of the box. You know, maybe I say that everybody goes all Hudson and Aliens. You know, you want some? You want some? You know, and that's that game becomes boring after a while. You know, I'd be scared of the Vulcan guy, the person who just snaps to the point of just being dead-eyed, kind of like a Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah,
just starts. You know, I would be more afraid of that person. So I like that. Okay, so it sounds like again 500 pages. There has to be a lot of thought put into this. So I guess the last thing is that I want to kind of segue into, or is I supposed to be part of the last question, but I didn't ask it right. Is how survivable is the game? Is it one of those games where ultimately you're going to lose? It's just how long you can live, or is there kind of an end state? I won't call it victory condition, but an end state where you either do make it out or the campaign ends. I don't like that ending. I actually want some sort of ending. Either we win or we die, or it's a stepping stone from this point onto the greater part of the campaign / world or whatever.
Let's simplify that. Is there a way to get out?
Yes.
Okay, then that technically can be everyone's win condition, right?
Yes. Or you could purge the entire city of all the undead and find the source.
Much harder.
Yeah, that could happen. There's a variety of different ways you could.
But it isn't just a game that you're meant to die and let's just see how long you last.
No,
that's awesome.
It's not Tomb of Horrors.
Good. I mean, there's always the survival games, and many of them get to the point where you are now self-sufficient. You, as long as you don't make any stupid decisions, are going to survive in perpetuity. You have your food growing, you have your energy needs met, you have your safety needs met, all this stuff, and you are now on autopilot survival wise. As long as you don't make any stupid decisions, you are going to live forever. Is that not a thing in this game? Is there always going to be danger no matter how far you progress survival wise?
So there are other factions which might become jealous and try to take what you have, so you'll be forced to deal with them or come to a deal with them. There are always new prisoners coming through the gate which can disrupt the equilibrium. I mean, you can imagine if a unit of soldiers tried to desert or mutiny, and they were all shoved through the gate at the same time, then you've got an organized foe who knows how to fight, and may have even fought the dead before during the Rising. So that's going to be a problem. I don't like being a capricious dick to players, but you might get a blight on your crops, which would make things horrible again. After all, this land is not made for farming. It hasn't.
No, it's not. And I'm sure fresh water will be mostly from rain, and you can easily make a drought. Yeah,
but there is a river, but it's not going to be very fresh unless you expend an awful lot of effort clearing it out.
Yeah,
but so there's always something that can disrupt the equilibrium that you create, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Right. I mean, you will live longer, but it is nothing. You can't get to the point where where the gears cannot be screwed with. You know, like you've created this survival mechanism that is invulnerable. That doesn't happen.
No, there's intelligent foes, there's rival groups, there's new prisoners. If you've managed to establish a foothold in the city to that extent, then the authorities might send soldiers in, thinking, "Oh, okay, it's survivable now. Maybe we can finally get rid of the dead and reclaim the city, and send all you buggers to the gallows or America." Because we
would kill you one way, but now we're going to finish it.
Oh my God! To any future player out there, here you go. Give yourself this foothold, real or imaginary. Get messages out through the guards. Make sure they're obvious, like you are taking over the city and murdering all. They will open the gate. They will send troops in trying to reclaim the city. You kill them, take their garb, come out. They're like, no, it was lies. Come out. Like, no, I'm Jesse, I swear. And they come out. And then you escape. There it is.
See, there's a plan.
Open the door for you.
Well, I like the sound of that because it's not just going to kill you. You know, that isn't the end state is ultimate death. But at the same time, there isn't the end state of we win, which becomes boring. Let's be honest. That becomes boring as well. Like, oh, look, we're X level and nothing can hurt us in here anymore. You know, let's go back to our safe place inside the zombie-filled city of nasty. You know, yeah. So that's good. I like the sound of that. Okay, before we get to comments and so forth, because there were a couple questions in comments, is there anything that, whether on our stream or anybody's stream, whatever, that you have not had a chance to mention about the game that you're like, man, if somebody just asked me this, or if I could just get this one thing out, I know I would sell 1,000,005 more copies of this.
I've been asked pretty good questions by you and everyone else I've talked to, actually. I mean, I guess an underserved question is, how do you know about all this stuff and how has the history worked out?
Look at him. He lived it.
Lived it. Wow.
So, I mean, I studied history. It's set in the sort of local area in which I live. It's based on some of the local cities and areas that I know about, particularly Winchester, Salisbury, Canterbury, places like that. And I've built the whole city up from when it was a Stone Age settlement. Though again, you're not going to necessarily see it.
No.
But I know
how the sausage is made type stuff.
Yeah. It's, if you want to build an organic city, you have to consider its past as well as its present, and how it's built up over time. So that's all in it. And I know 500 pages sounds daunting.
Sounds awesome.
But this is actually something that you can just pick up and play with almost no preparation, because it's all laid out for you. Player decisions, player action, players being, protagonists and doing stuff is how the game happens, and everything is there laid out for the games master. So,
okay, wait. After you say that, I have a question. What if the players decide to be the warlord? What if they decide that to survive, they need to be the bad guy? Do you have mechanics to handle that?
I don't think that's something that's necessarily that would rely on mechanics. I mean, they would have to browbeat or kill or otherwise get the other survivors on board with them. And then it's just a matter of roleplay, really.
Okay. All right.
So
you don't have to be the good guys. You don't have to be the bad guys. You can just be folk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to put into the book a notation system, so for a games master, you'll know if the players have already been there, if they've killed the zombies that were there, what supplies they took, what supplies they didn't take. So it's easy to revisit locations without them being reset. So you will actually be encouraged to make, little pencil marks in the book to show how it's been used. So it can evolve and change over time.
Right. I mean, the first time they went here, they may have taken the jerky and the jugs of wine, but they didn't open this cupboard that had a child zombie in it, and they didn't take the scissors from the dresser, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, as a games master, however talented you are, you're not going to remember everything to that kind of minutiae of detail. But if you've got a list of what there is there to loot, and you can just tick off what they take and leave what they haven't, then if they circle back around to that area, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of how you did your Cthulhu game, your one shot?
Yes. Yes, everything they could have taken, everything they could have had, I had, and I checked off, you know, what they did take, what they could have taken, what they didn't take, all that stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, well, let's see if we can get this funded. You're a little over halfway there now. That's awesome. 48 days left. Let's push that over the edge.
Oh wow, that first number was a 1 last time I looked.
Well,
look at that.
I could be wrong, and I don't want to give credit where it's not due. No, but I think actually, if I noticed when you were on Aaron to Pedantic yesterday, that that bumped up a little bit afterward. So
okay, yeah, that has, and it's gone up a bit today. Yeah,
good on Aaron, cool. And hopefully, let's surpass it. Let Legion of Myth get this crap funded for Grim. Let's do it. I didn't back it from the Legion of Myth account, so you're not gonna see it here, but I did back it from my personal account, and so I will be getting a copy and a second copy of Grimdark of this. Guess with that, I want to kind of go back to chat here because there were a couple questions in there, and I don't want them to scroll back too far. I know Crafty
had one.
Yeah, so did Von Zark, so did Shares. Let's see if I can find Crafty's. Basically, he asked how you're gonna avoid like the tieflings and flying creatures. Uh-oh. I can't find it now.
I think I remember that question. So even though it's built for 5e, the default setting is 17th century England, where there weren't tieflings. And
so is it human-centric then?
Yeah, very, very much so.
So this is a pure setting book then. This isn't just let's do like an adventure for 5e. This is its own standalone setting.
Yeah. But it's relatively easy to do it just as a straight 5e location adventure if you wanted to. And then I would suggest that anyone who tries to levitate or fly out just gets shot down by the guards. That's how I would deal with that. Or you just let them escape and say, fine, you're gone, make up a new character who can't fly. And you get brought into the prison. So.
Oh my God. I really wanted to find specific. I hope that answered your question, Crafty. If not, I can't scroll back far enough in this thing to pop it up on the screen.
You can always re-ask it if
I can find it. Ask her if he has guidelines in the book to
stop.
In
the meantime, Von Zark asks, are there higher functioning power players in the city of vampires, liches, mad scientists? Well, he did talk about that the whole ritualistic magicians or witches. Yeah. Who would have pacts and stuff, so that they would have power. So that would be, your medieval equivalent of mad scientists, I guess. Because they would have power and abilities beyond those what normal people would have.
Yeah, and it is the dawn of the Age of Reason, with Newton publishing his Principia and so on. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but this is the same sort of time as the founding of the Royal Society, which was really the dawn of Western science. So you can expect some of that incorporated into it.
Ooh, do I see the beginnings of the Golden Dawn? So let's what do we have here? So about how much of the books are maps? Much of the book. There we go.
I guess there will be. I still need to find a cartographer. Actually, I expect there'll be a double spread of the whole city. Then there'll be each region. But because, as we were discussing earlier, a lot of the buildings were built in the same way. You can use a kind of generic map for a lot of different buildings. So it's less mappy than you might think it would be.
And of course, if you have good descriptions of the houses, a game master can just make any old map or just reuse the same map over and over again. If you say it's 2 floors with a loft and somebody's hanging from a ceiling, I think I can handle that.
Well,
it really doesn't matter if it's a ladder or a stair in this one, right?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, I mean, in many neighborhoods, even here, there are 3 to 5 different designs for the house.
Oh God, get about 2 blocks away from your house and they're all the same.
They're all 3 or 5 different designs in a 2-mile square area of a residential and they're all these 5 designs, these 3 designs. Each house is the same design. It's just this is house 2221A, like, or 38547, like, and it's going to have different stuff inside, but it's got the same layout.
Yeah. If you want a model of how the mapping will probably end up working, the old Night City source book for Cyberpunk 2020 is kind of an inspiration for that side of it.
Brings back a memory.
Yeah. Dragon was asking when it'll be released. On or before February next year. The main reason for raising the money is that so that I can take the time to fully concentrate on the book, which is about 2/3, 3/4 written already, to get it done without having to worry too much about money or putting out other product during that time. And any excess money will go on more illustrations, making it look better.
Okay.
We got a couple of questions that are very similar, so I'm going to pop them both up. First one's how big is the city? And the next one is how much of the book is concerning the details and the layout of the city?
Yeah. What are the dimensions of a city like this at this time?
Don't you have Google Maps? Go look it up.
Oh, no. I mean, no. He said some key things. It was a port. It had.
There's a river.
Banks. What's that?
It's not a port, but there's a river going through it.
There's a river, yeah. So there was probably some kind of boat traffic through it. So it was at least a small merchant area. It had banks, which I imagine every city didn't have banks plural, right? So it'd be kind of large. But what is a kind of large city on a river in this time period?
So, I mean, a cathedral helps. In real history, it's largely, but not entirely, based on the city of Winchester, which at this point in history was on the decline and only had about a population of 4,000 or so. But other cities of comparable size had populations of like 10 to 12,000, and that's the sort of size that I'm looking at.
Okay, so how big would that city? Like, how much did they have to wall off?
I don't remember offhand. I do have it worked out somewhere.
For our American viewers, square miles would be good. Bring up the conversion.
How many acreage?
Let me see if I can find the information I used to work it out. Just it'll take me a second.
Oh my God! You didn't want to get into the sausage making, heathen dog. Look what you're making him do now.
It's not me. It's Indigo Dragon. Let's bring it up again. There it is. See?
I didn't think he needed the exact hectare size.
Looks. I think this is right. It sounds kind of right, but about 150 to 200 acres.
Okay. Not huge.
No.
But if you pack a lot of people in that area, you get a lot of something.
Well, yeah, but that's what would happen, right? Some of it is going to be forested area, right? And some of it is a river. So all of the housing and shops and stuff are going to be packed very densely.
Inside the wall, do you think there'd be a lot of forested area?
There has to be because the British love their forested areas. So you would have a place in the center of town or near the center of town where there would be some kind of organic area with lots of trees and probably not decorations, but fake fountains or stuff like that.
There's parks. The wealthier houses and mansions have gardens which will have trees in them, and there's a few trees around here and there in like public squares and things.
All right. I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'm interested in the exploration aspect. Do you incorporate? Well, here, let me just put it up on the screen. Do you incorporate old school wandering encounters and the ability to pacify entire hexes?
Someone asked something about the layout of the book as well, which we didn't answer.
Did I miss that?
Yeah, it's somewhere between a dungeon and a hex crawl, so it's not divided up into hexes, but there are wandering encounters of fairly wide severity. So keep in mind, running away is always an option. So yeah, the layout. Most of it is the layout of the city and the book and the buildings and the descriptions of the buildings and some of the more specific monsters or creatures or individuals who might be hanging out in a particular area. But that part of the book is pretty. You could convert it to any game you wanted, really. But then I'll have the full-on monster statistics and appendices of like handouts and more information and so on at the end. So it goes kind of introduction, primer to the period of history, primer to the city and how it's used, the city itself divided up by district, and then the appendices with the creatures and advice.
All the game
tools and so
information, the game specific information, right?
Awesome. I have nothing else, and so let me just make sure, because I wrote stuff on like 18 different pages here. Nope, that's either Heathen Dog asked it, Chad asked it, or I asked it. So awesome. I don't have anything else. We give a few seconds here just for chat to pop in another question. While we're doing that, I'm going to play your video one more time.
Groovy.
Ouch, that was loud. I always forget to let's share it. I guess I have to share it this way. I don't like doing this because I tend to get an echo if somebody doesn't mute. Oh well.
I'm gonna mute.
Screen share. Oh, I wasn't saying you specifically, but it might be.
You shouldn't get any echo of me.
All right, it's probably me. I'm echoing myself because I'm that important. I need to hear myself twice. And here we go.
In the year of our Lord 1666 came the Annus Mirabilis, the year of miracles. The plague returned. London endured the Great Fire. England went to war with the Dutch. Newton upended and advanced natural philosophy. Amongst those miracles came the comet that raised the dead. England, still recovering from the Civil War and in the throes of the Restoration, was the hardest hit. Still, over the course of a year, the grizzled veterans of decades of war were able to put the dead back into the ground. Save Wightchester, the city which was lost, overrun, walled in, and made into a prison for damned souls. Resurrected as Wightchester. It is 1667, and you are condemned. May God have mercy on your soul. Back Wightchester on Indiegogo for more information, cheap and free products, and a chance to shape the city of Wightchester. Wightchester will be a 500-page city crawl for 5th edition D&D, Grimdark 5th edition, and hopefully Morkborg and the OSR. Spread the word.
All right. I really hope you get that OSR because I don't have Morkborg, although I keep thinking about getting it.
It is funded for that now.
It is? Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Initially, they were stretch goals, but I used them as enticements to do like sprints of a certain amount of money ahead of time. So, yeah, all of those are unlocked.
Sweet.
Okay. But not powered by the apocalypse.
Not powered by the apocalypse.
3 million people, $3 million.
We are going to have an episode sometime in the future when you're not horribly busy to talk about that. I'm always interested in why people like something or why people dislike something, which is why I give my opinions all the time about that stuff. Because I don't know. I just like to know why, what works for people and what doesn't work for people when it comes to the genre. But alrighty then, I think we are about done with segment 1 here. Let me show some more links for Grim one more time here. Share screen, because I just love to do this share screen thing. That's all it is. Share, and let's go to here. Got his YouTube channel. I will copy and paste the link for that again into chat. It will be in the description if you're watching later. Indigo Dragon says he likes Powered by the Apocalypse. I do-ish. I like it in the same way that
friend's dad. You don't completely hate it.
No, it's not a love or a hate thing. I understand. There's some aspects about it I think are neat. I could play it for like 1 to 3 times, but I could never picture myself playing it for a year. Or a month. Yeah.
It frustrates me is the main thing, I think. And it's the people who love it are very evangelical, which is annoying.
Well, that's my problem with Traveler.
Yeah.
I want to love Traveler, but everybody acts like you have to be an MIT engineer and enjoy every one of their stupid charts and tables and in order to be acceptable in the community of the game. Like, oh, by the way, I'm going to have a series on Traveler coming up here in the next couple of months as a side project. Little tease right there. All right, so I put the things into chat there. So we have Grim Jim's YouTube channel where he talks about games, politics, analysis, and humor with a U because he's a dirty Brit. Actually, aren't we the dirty ones? I don't know. But
your celebrities are dirty because they don't wash.
Oh, that's just the celebrities?
Apparently, it's a whole thing.
Why am I seeing RPG Digest? Am I not looking at your channel? Here, let's go to your videos. Unless you did a reaction video to us and I didn't see it. Oh, there we go. Here are Grim's videos. As you can see, I love how the fact, they tell you, and you can see it from us, have the same similar background so people can identify your videos every time, so on and so forth. I don't know, but I like how you put your stuff together, even though it's not the same every time.
Yeah, I do YouTube wrong. I talk about lots of different things. So that's not how you're supposed to do it. But
right.
Yeah.
We suffered for that in the past.
Yes.
And I still refuse to get a second channel. So, because I don't want to have to try to build up to 1,000 subscribers again. But we also have a post. I hate when I hit that button? Whatever. Post-more.com.
You already put it in. You're good.
I know. Postmortem Studios, where you can get story games and role-playing games and card games and a whole ton of other stuff here. Some featured products. Go to his Teespring store, get a shirt. Teespring kicked me off.
What did you do?
I'll tell you after the stream.
Okay.
I will tell you
God,
this.
it's not bad.
The shirt is still on our other store.
Okay, good.
And of course, Postmortem Studios, where you blog.
Oh my God, I can't believe you actually asked this.
I don't get in this RPG a day thing. Is there an X card mechanic for undead?
No, but X's appear in their eyes when you slaughter them.
There you go. Good job.
Oh, I wanted to ask, are you going to use the art that's in the, or the stylized art that's in the video for the book?
Trailer.
Yes, that's some of the stuff that
Awesome.
has already been submitted. So that's Rob Necronomicon is one of the artists. He does that kind of angular, very dark woodcut looking stuff.
Really? He's been commenting on a lot of our videos recently, so he's now going to hear a shout out for him right here. Thank you for all your comments as well.
He's a good dude. And yeah, well worth using if you find his style appropriate. I sell some of his stuff as stock art on drive-through.
For this genre, I like. I don't know. There's something about. I hate using the Darkest Dungeon term because it's not. It was long before then, but I just like that look. I always have when it comes to anything rotten, necromantic, horror. No, horror's too big, but you get what I'm saying. Kind of the disease-ridden, zombie, horror-filled type. I just love that kind of art.
And the other artist you saw in the trailer was Brad McDevitt, who's worked in the industry for an absurd number of years, and he loves his zombies and he's really good at them. He was practically paying me to work on the project.
That's awesome. Well, I've already backed it. I'm going to be getting it. I can't wait for the 500 pages. I might have to convert a couple of zombies to a different undead at some point, maybe a ghast. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it, and I really do. I hope that people do back it. I have to be very judicious about my money now that I'm paying for a house and all this nonsense. But this was something I had to get. Any final comments, Heathen Dog?
No, we've gone through everything. I mean, it looks great. I mean, from all of my questions that I had watching the trailer have been answered. And like, subscribe, and share not only our video, but of course, Grim stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you've got any more questions, you can leave them in the comments on this video because that'll get these guys more hits, and I'll come back and answer them in the comments when I can.
Great.
And as Heathen Dog knows, and actually I think the last couple of times you were on, we did anytime there's a question I couldn't answer or I knew was directed to, I just send it to him in Discord. Hey, you might want to check this out. Heathen Dog gets that stuff almost every day.
I get it all the time.
Like, I can't answer this. Did you answer that Warrior Mage Rogue question?
No, of course not. I'd have to go back. That
Hey,
was 3 years ago. I never actually played the game. I read it for a week. I read the whole thing. So, at the time I was very knowledgeable, but 3 years have passed and I haven't looked at the book again. So I can't answer specific questions, which that was a very specific
That was a very specific question. You're supposed to memorize everything. Well,
the other question you gave me was a specific Palladium question,
Yeah.
but I played Palladium for years. So I was able to answer that.
it was funny is that he actually asked that question twice, and he posted it in the one that he didn't complete the question on. So I just referred him in the other comment to your comment.
Okay.
Well, we have to do something now. First of all, we have to thank Grim for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're interested in staying on, or if you've got things to do. Either way, we're happy. Absolutely.
I didn't get much sleep last night, so I think unfortunately I'm going to have to go. But I am interested, so I might listen in and
Sounds
type in the
great.
comments.
Thank you very much for being here and classing up the show, because we don't do that. We need somebody like you to come in and do that. And I really do. I'm hoping this gets funded. Kind of a side question: if it doesn't get funded, do you have plans to still follow through in a different method, or?
Well, so I use Indiegogo for two reasons. One is because Kickstarter's quite censorship heavy, and the second reason is they allow you to do partial funding. This is going to come out regardless, one way or the other, and everyone who backed it is going to get something, one way or the other. If we don't get fully funded, it'll just probably take me a bit longer to get it done, and it won't be quite as shiny and full of art as it might otherwise be.
Great, only 499 pages?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, well, that's awesome. I look forward to it. And again, thank you very much for being here. Always do appreciate it. You've great channel, great show. And all success, man. Can't wait to have you back again in the future.
Yeah, happy to. Anytime. Bye-bye.